what the outcome should be. All I know is that there's no place else for them to go to ask for justice. And when you look at all, I mean, there's a lot of irregularities. Certainly $250 million or $240 million spent on a great park that led to nowhere is a huge issue. But nobody should be scapegoated along that way. And we just want to ensure that that process was honest and earnest and that it provided the truth. And I think that's the compelling argument. That's why I'm here. I said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. When I served on JLAC, not one company, not one person ever came to me and said, audit me, audit the process. They always said, wait for the DA. They always said, well, wait until the other shoe drops. With just a little more time, we'll be able to exonerate ourselves. Just let us have more time. Time is our enemy because time is eating away at their credibility. They're losing contracts. They're losing their opportunity. And they have a lot of employees, and they've done nothing. I don't know that they've done anything wrong or have done something wrong. But certainly an honest and open process is necessary, I believe, for us to hold our head high in the legislature.
Thank you very much. We're going to move expeditiously. We have on the list, we have Member Jones, Senator Roth, and also Senator Campanella. And then we'll move to the public comment, who we will again ask the public to keep your remarks to 2 minutes. And then while we have a quorum, because today is a busy day, we're going to take a vote on this item before us. And then we're going to move to the next one because we have a lot of people in the audience and people are waiting for agenda items. So with that being said, Member Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had the same concerns as Senator Roth, and I think that Member Gonzales appropriately answered those questions. I had the same concerns as Assemblymember Asajian, and Ms. Howell answered those questions to my satisfaction as well. To be quite honest with you, I came in this morning kind of on the fence, so to speak, on this issue because I share some of the concerns that are being raised, about this being politically motivated and all of that. And just to state for the record, I have never worked with GAFCON. As a matter of fact, I never even heard of GAFCON until this process started. So, but it's been a pleasure to, I've enjoyed getting to know them. And on that note, I kind of checked out their references with several of my colleagues in San Diego County. And, when you have a company like GAFCON, there's going to be some detractors out there, usually. I couldn't find one in the county of San Diego. Everybody gave them glowing remarks. Now, I want to separate the remainder of my issues from that because I come to this from the perspective of what's good government. I'm not looking here to defend GAFCON. That's up to them to defend themselves. What I'm interested in is what's good government and what's good governance, and are the taxpayers getting what they're paying for? And I'll tell you what pushed me over the fence this morning is the City of Irvine Special Counsel's opening remarks. When you come to a public hearing like this and you make unfounded allegations, this is not a courtroom. We're not here to take testimony and cross-examine witnesses. And I think it was very irresponsible of the special counsel to come in here and make those remarks that he made when they can't be answered. So that pushed me over the fence. I'm in favor of this audit. I think we need to move forward with it. I trust the auditor to do the job that we're asking her to do, and I think she appropriately answered Member Shajian's questions, and that increased my level of trust of her. We've got to get this out of the mire that it's in and shine the sunlight on this issue so that we can get to the bottom of the issue. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion that we approve the audit.
Do I hear a second? Second. It's been properly moved in second. Senator Roth.
Madam Auditor, I heard you say that, of course, one of the problems may be the release of your report following the completion of your audit, your state audit. Are there not problems potentially, given the fact that there is apparently a criminal process that's moving forward that may or may not move forward to a prosecution? Are there not problems with the availability of witnesses for you to interview? I mean, I am not without some experience in this area since I've been up here in Sacramento with some criminal prosecutions and the desire to launch an independent administrative investigation. And of course, one of our concerns at the time was that significant witnesses might choose not to speak to us and exercise their rights accorded them in the criminal process, and without the ability to grant immunity, they don't talk to you, right?
Can you help, Donna? I'm going to ask my chief counsel to assist on this one.
Sure.
And as she's approaching, this leads me to my next question, my follow-up question, which is, why are we not waiting until the criminal process either takes its course or fails to start?
Good morning. Donna Neville, counsel to the State Auditor. Senator Roth, your question is a really important one. We do our work under what are considered to be administrative investigative standards, and you're absolutely correct. If there's an ongoing criminal investigation, one of the first things that we do, and I would always advise all the audit staff to do, is I would reach out to the DA, and under the statutes that govern our office, I'd be able to have a fairly frank conversation. I'd potentially be able to learn a little bit more about the scope of the DA's investigation. We'd be very mindful then to not interfere with the scope of that investigation. But your point about witnesses is an important one, because we want, as auditors doing our work under administrative standards, we want to be careful not to interview someone and potentially taint testimony that would be needed by a criminal investigation. So we go through a pretty strategic process of making sure that we work with the DA, we coordinate our efforts so that we don't do anything that would harm the ability of the DA to gather important testimony for the criminal prosecution.
And in fact, if significant witnesses fail to make themselves available to speak to you, exercising their rights not to talk, given the nature of the criminal process that's moving ahead on a parallel track, might that not affect the integrity of the audit and the audit report?
It's certainly a potential for that to happen, but just speaking from some past experience, other audit work we've done where we've had this issue, we've generally been able to successfully kind of navigate around that issue by either, and as the state auditor said, we're always going to be careful not to interfere with an ongoing criminal investigation anyway. So we may decide that that particular body of work is one we have to kind of move back from under audit standards anyways. And I, without having a lot of specifics and knowing just what the facts are, I can't really tell you just what would happen on this particular audit. But on every audit, we'd be very conscious of that.
Do we know whether or not the Orange County District Attorney is going to cooperate with us, the state legislature, in launching and conducting a state audit?
We don't know that now. I know because we haven't started the work. The audit hasn't been approved, so I wouldn't have made that contact at this point. In the past, on other audits, we've generally had very good conversations with DAs who've been willing to share information with us, understanding that we would retain its confidentiality.
Well, your report, how do you retain the confidentiality, given that it's public money in a state report?
Well, under our enabling statutes, even though we have complete and unfettered access to information, including confidential information, we have to retain its confidentiality if some law requires that we do so. And typically a pending criminal investigation until charges are brought is confidential. So any DA that would share information with us at that juncture would usually be doing so under those provisions of the Penal Code and other provisions of law that offer assurance of confidentiality at that point. That doesn't mean that later down the road there wouldn't be public disclosure of the facts.
So, Assemblymember, given the fact that this is probably not going to start for a few months, I would suspect, we'll have to hear that from the auditor, and given the fact that it's going to take 5 or more months, there's not going to be an immediate impact on the criminal process, on the city council's whatever they're doing, and it's not going to have an immediate impact on the business that's seeking the audit. So why not wait to see what happens with the criminal process and either have it start or not start or be concluded, in which case, if it's concluded, then frankly, part of that's your investigation, right?
Well, first off, if it's okay, I would like the attorney for GAFCON to address the criminal charge aspect, because I think we're relying on something that was a letter previous to the withdrawal of the January 2014 audit. And so I just want to make sure that they have a chance, because there are a lot of allegations being brought up here that aren't necessarily true. So if that's okay.
No, I appreciate that. And Senator Roth, I actually don't know just what the charges are. All that I have seen is the DA's public press release of March 2nd indicating there would be some criminal inquiry. I don't actually know the scope of that inquiry as we speak.
And before, let me just make sure that I'm clear. I mean, all I'm asking is, why aren't we waiting to conduct why isn't somebody conducting a further inquiry, somebody who can come in here and report the current status of the criminal process? This committee doesn't stop working when we conclude today. We can meet next week and the week after and the week after that.
My understanding is the state auditor can't make those inquiries until it's voted on today. And the letter and the information that we have originally from the district attorney, excuse me if it's a letter press release, was previous to the city council withdrawing the audit that they were relying upon for this idea of criminal investigation. I don't believe the DA is here or has sent a letter today, but that's why I would like the attorney for GAFCON to address the criminal aspect of it. But the problem has been this. You know, when we started this discussion, it's, can you wait 30 days? Can you wait 30 days? Find any reason to wait 30 days or 60 days. We could do that forever. And in the meantime, nothing is resolved, I guess, until the possibility of any statute of limitations runs. Then a DA could always bring charges, but that's something that as they move forward that they would know there was an investigation going on and could hold it back. But if we simply allow the city to say there may be an investigation based on an audit that we withdrew, and to put off until the DA decides whether or not there's going to be charges, we have to wait for the entire statute of limitations to run, which I'm not sure on this. We don't know what they're investigating, so who knows what the statute of limitations are, but I'm assuming it's well over a year.
Well, staff can make an inquiry. Committee staff can make an inquiry.
One moment, Senator. One moment. I'm sorry, Senator Roth.
Senator, I find it odd that something so pivotal in the defense of the city of Irvine hadn't made that inquiry and brought a letter with them since the DA didn't show up here, or any representative of the DA. When I was on the committee, stall tactics were very common, and it seems to me that if you made that inquiry and brought that letter, that would have been a big deal in today's hearing, but nobody did that, and it's not incumbent upon us to pursue that and chase down the ghosts. It's the other side's obligation to bring that information forward if they believe that that's a pivotal part of why their side should win.
So let's do this. Member Gonzales asked for the attorney to please have a brief remark. We want him to be very brief. State your name, and then we wanted to move to Senator Cannella. And then we're going to take public testimonies, and then we're going to go for a vote while we still have a quorum. We're trying to keep a quorum here. So I'm trying to do my very best to facilitate this. Please.
Yes, good morning. I'm Paul Nahar. I'm General Counsel of GAFCON. The elephant in the room is that the letter that the district attorney provided to the JLAC was premised on an audit that was false and withdrawn by the audit firm itself. So in other words, the city is now using its typical tactics that it's always used in this audit to try to mislead. So the the district attorney letter referenced the January 14th audit that the audit firm withdrew. So as a result, we don't believe that the district attorney is investigating allegations that have been withdrawn by the city of Irvine. So that should answer the question. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Senator?
Yes, just briefly, regardless of what each side says, we do have a letter from the district attorney saying they're going to investigate, and a district attorney gets into criminal violations. That's just a fact. Since I've been on the audit committee, I've supported almost every single audit because I think we have an excellent state auditor, and I think it's great for us to shine a light on whatever we want to shine a light on. But in this case, it seems like we're inserting ourselves in something that's very big, and I'm fine with that. I would just like to get through the district attorney portion of it. Whatever else is going on, I'm sure there's going to be litigation on both sides, but when we have a district attorney that's inserted themselves into a process to look into something potentially criminal, potentially not, The first audit, the letter that you provided, Assemblywoman, I think it says the first audit request was in January of 2013, so that was over 2 years ago. So to wait 60 days to see if the district attorney says we're going to not look into this matter at this point, I certainly don't think is that long of a delay considering the process. So I would be willing to support the audit if we took it up, after the district attorney made their final decision. At this point, I cannot.
Thank you very much. Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I had to step out. This question may have already been asked. I'm just curious, Assemblymember Gonzales and Senator Anderson, if the Assembly member and the Senator from Orange County, if they are in any way involved. I just think it's odd that you both are from San Diego and this is an Orange County issue.
I think that you have our involvement because it's a San Diego company that's been caught in the middle of all of this, quite frankly. And I think that the Orange County legislators would rather not be a part of this. Not necessarily supportive or not supportive. I think I've heard from two different ones who have two different perspectives, but just don't want to be involved. It's their city as opposed to our business. And so that's why. And in reference to Senator Canella's request, and I asked the state auditor if in initiating this audit, she found that the DA, in fact, was doing an investigation, we would be happy then for her to go ahead and hold until that was complete to finish the audit. But we would like to go ahead and get it voted on and started rather than continuing to wait. So I think it would be an appropriate position for the state auditor to make those inquiries with the district attorney and to be able to start the information, but obviously hold off if in any way. And I think that that's a standard procedure anyway, is to hold off if there'd be some interference.
Senator.
I didn't get to finish. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. I just want to say I echo what Senator Canella said. I don't generally vote against an audit, but I am very uncomfortable with this because I have companies in my jurisdiction that are up and down the state, and I don't know how I would feel about another legislator coming in and saying we're going to do this. And if they were here in support, I think I might feel a little bit better, but since they're not, I do feel very uncomfortable.
And to be clear, the company is in San Diego. It does work statewide, and we just want to ensure that a San Diego companies never come and ask for an audit, and I think that Senator Anderson hit the nail on the head with that, to have a business come and say, can you just audit this audit, because we've had no other way to establish that nothing was done. We don't want to predetermine on the city of Irvine. Obviously, that's to be heard by the auditor what actually happened. Was this in accordance with how local governments should act? But of course, every local government, that's the problem with politics, right? Who represents that area may have some effect, but it may affect our city's business.
I'd feel better if the legislators from Orange County were here.
I agree.
Senator Galgiani.
I'm going to be supporting the audit as is today, and I can see how legislators from the Orange County area wouldn't necessarily want to get involved unless they thoroughly know about this. It's messy. It's very difficult, and I'm going through a similar issue in my district, and I can see where people start to take sides. They become entrenched on their side. New information comes. They're already entrenched on one side, and they didn't realize that something else came about. I think the point that you brought it to the legislature, it speaks to the fact that you've tried and tried at the local level and things aren't happening, and that is why it has risen to this level. I've served in the assembly. I've served here. I've been a staff member in the building. I've never seen anything like this brought to the JLAC committee, but clearly it speaks to the fact that there's a problem and that people can't get the problem addressed at the local level, and so their last resort is to bring it to us. So I'm supporting it as it is today.
Thank you very much. We're going to end comments from our members. We're going to ask anyone that want to have comments on this item, please line up to my left at the microphone. You have 2 minutes. Please state your name, make your comment, and then relinquish the microphone to the next person. Do we have anyone from the public? This is a time for public comment. I'm seeing none. Going once. Going twice. Public comment is now closed. We have a motion on the floor to move with an audit forthwith. I also understand there's a motion to delay the start. I'm sorry. So we're going to, there's a motion on the floor. It's been properly moved in second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion. And that is to move forward with an audit.
Can you clarify the motion, please?
To approve the audit request.
Assemblymember Gibson.
Yes.
Gibson, aye. Asargian. Baker. Baker, aye. Campos. Campos, aye. Jones.
Aye.
Jones, aye. Nazarian. Rendon. Senator Roth.
No.
Senator Roth, no. Bell. Cannella. Fuller. Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. Lara. Lara, aye. Laver. No. Laver, no. Asargian, aye.
We're going to keep that roll open for anyone that wants to weigh in. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to keep the roll open for any members to add on. It's on call. Other items that we put on call.
Okay. And we're going to do them in agenda orders.
And we're going to do them in agenda item order, starting with 2015-108, the Irvine City Council Subcommittee, Audit Subcommittee. Secretary, please call the roll. Shh. This is on Irvine.
Nazarian. Nazarian, aye. Rendon. Rendon, aye. Bell. Bell not voting. Cannella. Cannella, no. Fuller.
That item failed. We'll lift the call on item